Hey everyone, I wanted to finally get an update to what we've been doing out here at Gray Woods Farm. It's been a busy summer. I also learned that you can't do all this video work and get the other work done. So sorry about the delay, but feel pretty good about a lot of things we got done this year. So the first place I want to show you is what was our old garden. Still is a garden, but we've kind of changed it up. So in here we planted 51 asparagus crowns. So they were young. They were, I believe, only 2-year-old crowns. So it'll be a little while before we start to really get a lot of asparagus out of here, but when it happens, it is. And these are the old beds that were based on kind of a permaculture principle. They were raised beds. And if you've ever followed any of my blogs, you might have seen what these used to look like. But over the years, soil buildup and deterioration of the logs, they're almost getting even with the ground. So anyways, we put in the 51 crowns, and had a lot of rain, so keeping up with the weeds has been something else. These are all volunteer tomato plants. Every single one of them. There's 21 in this bed. And all of these just sprouted all around the property, and Sarah transplanted them all into this bed, and we laid down the weed block on it to help them out a little bit. And what that's actually going to do too is it'll actually benefit that soil underneath, because it'll block those weeds, but then when we remove all that, that soil is going to be really good. We had some more volunteer tomato plants, but then also we put in sunflowers. I have to go up here so you can see them. And unique thing about sunflowers, when those leaves start to wilt away and turn brown, you can grill them. Hit them with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, grill them on both sides till they're a little bit tender, and they're ready to go. And those young seeds in there are really juicy. So if you have sunflowers, I would totally encourage you to try that. We also have this bed we transformed into a new raspberry bed. And if you look on the outside of the garden, and it's actually coming inside too, those are all raspberry bushes. And we have more planted on the side that we put in this year. And those raspberry bushes produced a lot of raspberries. I ended up canning probably about 7 jars of raspberry jelly, and then we also have probably another 3 to 4 pounds of raspberries in the freezer. So yum. Okay, wild grapes, they have always grown out here, and so we just trimmed them back a little bit and have been letting them do their thing. These grapes tend to get attacked by the birds, so we don't see much out of that, but that's okay. So yeah, that's what this garden was all about. And then this one over here, the keyhole garden, you can see all the sunflowers we planted there. It's just amazing how well these sunflowers have done throughout the property, and they're just beautiful. It looks like we have a bamboo forest when you get up close to it. I'll show you what I mean. It's crazy. But again, we love the way the sunflowers look, but now that we've learned that you can actually eat them, I sold quite a few at the farmers market yesterday in Poinet, and told people all about grilling these guys up and how they can eat them. So if you look down here though, this is what I was talking about. It's like a little mini bamboo forest. It's crazy. So that was our keyhole garden. And then we brought some new animals onto the farm. Our original goal was we were going to bring calves in for veal. Well, that didn't work out, and so I started looking for feeder pigs. So now we have 4 feeder pigs in our small pasture area. And yes, I'm learning quite a bit about what kind of escape artists they are, because they are. They've already snuck out twice, so instead of giving this whole small pasture, I electrified it over the last few days, and that really seems to thwart them from wanting to get out, because what they were doing is they were getting out down at the end of the pasture. That fence has another wire mesh fence on it, but yeah, they figured out how to dig underneath that. And what's down there is a oak tree, and they were dropping all kinds of acorns. So these guys were, you know, getting what they consider chocolate acorns. So these are old spots, and I just learned yesterday this particular breed seems to be getting smaller and smaller every year. So kind of cool that we actually got 4 of them. And yes, we will be harvesting them, although I don't think they want to hear that right now. But we will be harvesting them, and they think whenever I come up, I'm about to feed them. And that's by design. Actually, for the first 5 days, they were actually kept in a small pen over there, and I fed them. And so now they see me as, oh, here comes the food guy. So they come running over to me to see if I'm going to give them anything. And right now, they've been eating a lot of apples. We walked right by it. I'm sorry, I should have showed you. But we have a few apple trees up there, and they've been dropping apples consistently. And they get all the bad apples, which we don't spray our trees, so they get quite a treat when they come out there and do that. So the big project this year was our new garden area. And in that, I learned a few things. For example, how sandhill cranes will eat your seeds and shoots. Actually caught them doing it. Not much I can do about it except wave my hands and chase them out, and then run my sprinkler, and which was okay because during July it got pretty dry, and so we were keeping all our plants pretty well soaked. But you haven't seen what we've accomplished here. So the first thing you're going to notice is we have an electric fence all the way around. Not for the sandhills, they know how to fly over that, but for deer. So it's a solar panel that's hooked up to it, and what you're going to see here is basically an old piece of aluminum foil that when I put it on there, after I put it on there, I put a whole bunch of peanut butter on it, and I did this all the way around the garden because deer like peanut butter. So the first night that was on there and the fence was fully charged, I got up in the morning and it came, and they had must have got zapped because they ripped off the fence down at the corner down there, and guess what? They've never been back. So neat little trick if you're ever trying to figure out how to keep the deer out. This one seems to have done its job. We'll see. Knock on some wood. Probably should knock on my head. All right, so let's talk about the garden and what worked and what didn't work. So first of all, garlic worked really well. I have to come in the fence here, which is still on. So over here we had 2 rows, 20 pounds of garlic. So basically we had a row right up here by the end of the fence, went all the way down to the end, and then the other row was about right here, and it went all the way down to the other end. We harvested probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 75 pounds of garlic. We've been selling it, and no complaints so far. This row I have planted several times because this was one of the rows that the doggone sandhill cranes were just going at it. But it's Brussels sprouts, so we'll see if it's going to work or not. Brussels sprouts get planted around July, mostly because they like the cold, and they'll grow right into that cold air in October and November. So we'll see. And I have another row that's doing a little bit better, and I'll show you that in a minute. Lettuce. So you can see we have some lettuce going to the bolt, and we have since transplanted more. And what I had to do with this one was get those little earthen pots that you can just put right in the ground and start those seeds away from here, because apparently sandhills really like the lettuce seeds and the shoots. So yeah, so anyways, we now have a pretty good regular supply of lettuce coming into the house. Hopefully we'll sell some at the farmer's market, but you know what, I don't mind it. It's pretty yummy stuff. You'll notice too that the rows have, you know, all kinds of stuff growing in them. We just mow it. We'll revisit this next year, but one of the things I've learned in these large gardens, if you do that, you're actually giving your plants a little bit of a nitrogen source, and the only problem is the things in there can spread into the rows. And if you look at the rows, you can see the mulch there. So we got our hands on some an old soy bale. So, you know, they cut a crop of soy, then they come back, and anything that's left in that field they bale up. And the farmer that leases the bigger portion of the property offered it up for us to use as mulch. Turns out it's pretty good. Seedless. Unlike hay or any of that kind of stuff, there are no seeds in this stuff, so it really did a good job. And then this row over here, oh my goodness, I have been picking cucumbers every single day, and probably close to what we in the culinary world would call a flat, like what you'd get loaves of bread in, filled with cucumbers almost every day. I've also been making a lot of refrigerator pickles. It's insane. And so usually in the mornings I will come out and start harvesting cucumbers out of here, because I'll tell you what, if you don't keep up on them, you get football sized cucumbers, and now you got to figure out what you're going to do with those. And then these, and inside of here, by the way, you can see some of it, there's carrots. So when the cucumbers start dying back, and it gets cold, I'll go back and harvest the carrots out of here.